Hi, it's Lee and welcome to the Tesla Economist. I've got to say, after watching all those EV Super Bowl ads, it really brought home to me just how far behind legacy are when it comes to competition for Tesla. It's kind of unbelievable. Most of these new legacy EVs seem to be pickup trucks for a start, and Ford was already first to market with that and did a very good job in taking advantage of all the electric benefits and making it more utilitarian for the target market, such as a really large frunk. Yet GMC, Dodge and Chevrolet all want to join the electric pickup truck movement, presumably as this is their most profitable market segment when it comes to ICE. So it might mean there is a chance they may be able to make a profit with their EVs too. And cost savings of gas are considerably greater when compared to the cost saving of running something like a V8 pickup truck. Of course, it's even more superfluous, you might think, given that Tesla are going to launch the Cybertruck this year too. But that wasn't the only part that shocks me. Most of these cars are not even going to be launched until 2024 or even 2025. They don't even exist yet. Okay, sure, neither does the Cybertruck, but at least we are actually witnessing firsthand the production line for the Cybertruck being built, along with gigantic gigapresses to do the job. It doesn't stop there. We haven't even seen the specifications of these vehicles yet, as in what range and performance are they able to offer. Let's not forget that GM's electric Hummer has a battery size of over 200 kilowatt hours, twice that of a Tesla Model X, and offering considerably less range. We do know the battery size of the F-150, it's 100 kilowatt hours, but only gives 230 miles, or 131 kilowatt hours and gets up to 300 miles of range. These electric pickup trucks are going to need big batteries, and if they wanted to sell any decent quantity, then they'll need a lot of cells. Hence why I think the main hold-up with these vehicles is the cells and batteries, and them waiting for their new battery factories to be completed. Even then, despite the specifications being nothing close to Tesla, there's also the actual cost of producing these vehicles, which is perhaps why they're focusing on pickup trucks so much. As they're such popular segment, there may be a profit. Likewise, how Mercedes and Porsche are investing in electric as their brand carries so much value, they carry over higher price tags that cover the costs of batteries. It's been years now, and we have still yet to see any real competition. I think Ford have done a reasonable job compared to other legacy autos. They got their act together relatively sooner than most, and have had a reasonable success with the Mach-E, and obviously put a lot of thought into the F-150 Lightning. But their numbers still aren't big. Obviously Volkswagen was trying for a while, but that was when they had Herbert Diess at the wheel. I'm not sure they'll push it so much more anymore. I don't think the Volkswagen brand is valuable enough to justify the cost of a battery. Although Porsche certainly is, which is owned by Volkswagen, but likely going to float separately, possibly so it can double down more on battery-powered vehicles. They'll be launching their battery SUV sometime, which will be popular. Remember, the Porsche brand is very prestigious and don't need to sell that many vehicles a year, as it is a high-end luxury niche. They're known for performance too, and obviously the additional acceleration that battery gives is on brand for them. I do wonder when they will actually launch a real sports car like an equivalent of an electric 911. We have to also talk about the level of technology that Tesla has in their vehicles compared to whatever Legacy come up with. I genuinely think it would be like Legacy also trying to compete with Google in search. Sure, they'll likely end up using third-party FSD software and hardware, of course with LiDAR, but it will also be slower and not as safe as a Tesla, cost more and require more battery power. Tesla is a hardcore AI software company as well as a car company. Legacy autos are just car companies. This is not their area of expertise. But Tesla is forcing them to step out of their comfort zones to attempt some area of FSD. And sure, you can say Tesla is only level 2 FSD officially, but just compare the capabilities. A Tesla with FSD beta is capable of driving itself from one destination to another without any interventions. Sure, often there are interventions, but it's still orders of magnitude further than any legacy auto can do. And Tesla can make these self-driving robot vehicles in China for a cost of under $30,000. It looked like the competition needed a way to catch up with Tesla, and they went to the government to get help. We all thought that this was just going to be the typical cronyism we see from legacy autos, well, partly the UAW. The likes of Mary Barra and Jim Farley were having meetings with Biden about the future of electric cars in the US, and Elon was not invited to attend. Despite him being the CEO of Tesla, the company that has accelerated the advent of electric cars more than anyone else. Due to Tesla's advances in EV production and vertical integration, they are incredibly competitive on cost. So it was assumed that somehow the government were going to level out the playing field for legacy autos and give them some major boost. And we saw several drafts. At one stage, there was an additional $5,000 off an electric car if the company had unionized labour. But after several drafts, the strangest thing happened. Tesla ended up with a $7,500 tax credit for any of their customers. Yes, so do all the other EVs made in North America too. But the thing is, legacy autos are making very few. And they all previously had this credit anyway, except for GM. And Tesla also get $45 for every kilowatt hour of cell and battery produced in North America as well. And this credit has already started. But legacy autos offer very few EVs yet, and their battery and cell factories still won't be ready for another year or two. In other words, this tax credit ended up benefiting Tesla far more than anyone else. It does also include hybrids, but legacy autos don't actually make that many hybrids anyway. In my opinion, I think the idea of this was more to keep out the Chinese EVs from competing in the US, as that would have been more threatening, taking away American jobs. Anyway, this has basically given legacy no advantage over Tesla, but somewhat an advantage of making their electric vehicles able to compete on price with their ICE cars. But in the meantime, this allows Tesla to double down on battery production in North America, with a new battery plant already announced by Tesla in Giga Nevada. The semi-truck also benefits from tax credits, in fact, as much as $40,000 per truck, along with about the same in subsidies for the battery pack. Do you get that? For starters, Tesla's 4680 cells are about $40 less expensive per kilowatt hour than the 2170 cell. Then they get $45 per subsidy per kilowatt hour, then a further $40,000 tax credit per semi-truck. In other words, they will essentially make over $120,000 more per semi-truck with 4680 cells than the ones that Tesla delivered last year with 2170 cells that were not yet receiving any of these benefits. Yup, in case you didn't realize already, semi-trucks are going to be very profitable. And there don't really appear to be any legacy autos that are going close to this level when it comes to electric semi-trucks. Tesla will pretty much have a monopoly there, and that's without having to get into how profitable and beneficial FSD will be for the semi-truck too. So legacy are really no threat to Tesla. They can make some nice EVs that correlate with their brand, but that's one other thing. Their brand, they're stuck with that. They can't be too revolutionary or out of the box, as it has to be on brand, unlike Tesla. Of course, there is still the massive conflict that legacy have of trying to promote their EVs and say how wonderful they are, whilst at the same time not saying that they're better than their ICE cars, as that is still their core business, and they have to protect, as that is what makes the money. Looking at all the new EVs that legacy are going to be launching over the coming years are still not close to as nice as Tesla anyway. I truly can't see what chance legacy have competing in a major way against Tesla aside from their niches. Okay, if you're rich, then you may think it's cool to be seen in a Porsche, even despite it costs so much more, has less performance and less range, but prestige still sells. Aside from that, there is little chance of any real competition. And in the US, like I said, the tax credits seem to be more about keeping China out, with high import tariffs too, not to mention insufficient range with their vehicles. So as far as I can tell, Tesla has the US electric market pretty much to itself for the time being. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.